My name is Neil. I'm the Edinburgh chairman and the party secretary. Today we have Daniel and Eddie. They're going to share a story here. They are from Dumfries. Eddie went to a Catholic high school in Dumfries, and he's just going to share what actually happened to him at the school. Eddie.
Yes, thank you very much, Scottish Family Party, for having me today. And I'm glad that I can be able to tell my story today about my experiences in my high school, which, as you've heard, is a Catholic high school. Now, I'm saying this story not just for myself, but for all the young people to hear today, and who will hopefully hear again. So, while I was in high school, in my early years of high school, I was told to come into a classroom, just usually classroom where the teacher would speak for religious education. However, while in high school this time, two students came, senior year students came to teach us with the teacher's approval. They came to represent a teaching and curriculum for transgender education. So we were expecting, or I was expecting, to be taught about transgender. However, it wasn't really that. It wasn't really much of a education. It was more of a confrontation, because they immediately said that we're going to play an icebreaker. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't really fun for me, because my conscience was tested. What happened was we were told to stand up or to sit down. Now, we heard today that we are to stand up. Unfortunately, I had to sit down today. I had to sit down to a question that I was told to stand up to, if I agreed to. That question, as an example, was, can a 4-year-old change their sex? And that's a child, a 4-year-old. Now, unfortunately, the majority of the class stood up. I couldn't, in my conscience, stand up. I had to stand down. That was my responsibility. Now, more questions were given. And to my embarrassment, and I was really embarrassed because the teacher humiliated me in the class. When a slide was talked about the criminality of having a different opinion, I was embarrassed in the class, and she confronted me in the class, telling me that my opinions were criminal, that to disagree is criminal, to not be for is criminal. I was panicking. I immediately, after the class, couldn't bear it, to be called a criminal in front of all the people in the class. And I told my father this. I had to. He was my father, and I'm so thankful that I have a close connection to him, and that he has connections to people that are loving me and willing to help me. However, this wouldn't have grown to be something so big had it not been for the school. Now, I know we've heard today that the Christian schools are preferred. Well, it was a Catholic school, and it does have Christian principles. My brother was at the school before I was, for 4 years difference than I am, age, while in high school. And he was there, and there was prayers daily held. Yet when I was there, the prayers ceased. There was other activities held, yet when I was there, they ceased in a 4 years' time. And unfortunately, the school now, instead of prayers, has introduced a new extreme, as you are all familiar with, LGBT politics. And not just the politics, it's really a movement that has affected my whole school, my whole high school. You see, the high school was saying to all of us, and even on the walls, to fight homophobia. In fact, this was mentioned in the class that I was in, to tackle this, to be for transgenderism. Yet, however, I was labeled as a homophobic, a transgender phobic, if that's what it's called, because I stood down. Everyone saw that. Immediately, their responsibility, the students' responsibility, was to follow and listen to what was truth at the time, and that was to tackle those who disagree, those who are liars, those who are not true. And I was the not true, I was the liar, I was the radical, because I couldn't hold in my conscience that belief. However, as time progressed, unfortunately, the students really got to me, and there was really a friction between students. I'm not sure for other students in my year, but my whole year was full of rumors. As the years progressed, the rumors grew worse. And unfortunately, rumors became death threats. Death threats from people who were not LGBT. Death threats to people who were not involved. Had they been from the LGBT, I wouldn't have treated them so serious. But considering that they were from people not involved at all, repeating, that was scary. That meant that this has spread too far. And unfortunately, this came to my door. I'm not sure if this has happened to common here in Scotland. I heard of things in America, but they came to my door banging, knocking, a large mob of them frequently. We didn't have a camera at the time, but this was a regular occurrence. My father managed to look who it was, to see, and when he saw it was a large mob, and he confronted them. They were people from my high school. And there were people not even related to the high school, other high schools. That's how much it spread. Unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately many times because it's not just me, and it's not just me, it's many other children. As we've heard, social media is very good, but it's also misused. It was misused for me. Many pictures of me were made that I should be a homosexual with filters, given, distributed, without my knowledge, who knows where, how far, how many people saw it, I don't know. But I certainly know this, many people saw it, enough that it should stir a reaction, that they should come to my door, they should kick, and death threats should come, and people from other high schools should be involved. Unfortunately, this is really hard for me, because it cost my education, it cost my social life. I had to appeal, in the middle of all this chaos, I had to appeal to a student helper, student advisor. He didn't do anything at the start. Second time, nothing. The second time I confronted him about the videos or the images about me, nothing. And the third time my father was involved, and something did happen. But that something was far too late, a little too late. And it cost my education because it wasn't just the teachers anymore, it was the students. When students turn against each other, which is what really happens when we increase an extreme, that's sad. Children should never be in extremes. Teenagers are still children. They're not mature. I know myself. I wish I could have been more mature during all this time. However, when an extreme is increased, another extreme rises. And that's what happens. Children turn against each other. And that's the sad reality, as history demonstrates. However, I was brought to college recently because one of my high school advisors, who were really a deputy head, who was acting as a deputy head, he saw what was happening. He tried to get the police involved, but that wasn't enough. So he took matters into his own hands in his limited time of position, and he wanted to help me. He wanted to help me so that now I can say even this story, that it may help others. Everything did turn out well for me. I did leave the high school. That was the cost. I did lose my friends, but I went to a new education, and that was college, and I could progress very well. And I'm really glad for that, and I thank my God for that, because through this, He saved me.
So, Eddie, you are a hero. You are a hero. Not everyone gets an opportunity to stand the way you did. You had to sit down. That makes my heart boil, that a teacher would do that. This is Eddie's reality, guys. This is what's happening in schools. You speak to leaders, you speak to faith leaders and stuff. There are different organizations. They come and they say, no, it's not happening. This is the reality. It is happening. Eddie is a hero today, standing for truth, and he fought what he needed to do. So we honor you. We thank you for what you did. And I can only imagine the social pressure that you felt as well, the attacks that you received. Thank God for an amazing parents that you have. Daniel and his wife, they're from Romania, and they're here today to to speak about what has happened, but we just look at Eddie's story. This is happening all over the United Kingdom. It's not just happening what we see in America and stuff. It's happening almost every day. And it's time that we stand up and we rise, and this is why we need the Scottish Family Party in Parliament. You vote for us, you get us in, speak about us, tell everybody about the Scottish Family Party, because we will make the difference. Not what's going on out there at the moment, just the politics, the different parties at the moment. They will not change this. They are the ones that are actually bringing these things in and causing these issues. And people like Eddie have to suffer and go through all this. We need to see this ending, and we can end it through the Scottish Family Party. But I would like to ask Daniel, as a parent, how did you deal with this and being so strong and so courageous as well?
Well, tomorrow is the Remembrance Sunday here. Just I may be asked, I'm a minister, pastor, and I don't want to give you a sermon, but I have to make an application. We respect our heroes of faith. Leonard Ravenhill, he said, we honor our heroes, we build their epitaphs and their tombstones, but we are not willing to drop one drop of blood for our Christian faith. And Paul finished his life saying, I have fought the good fight of faith. Being a Christian, I am very sorry to say, I came in this country grateful for people like you, your grandparents, maybe your parents who prayed for us in communist Romania. When we didn't hope that communism is going to fall, it fell because you had more faith than we had in your prayers. I want you to go back to your first love. I want you not to fall in the trap that we fell during the dictatorship of communism, because it's coming with a vengeance in a different form. And Christians here have lost the fight. They don't have a spirit of fight, the good fight, not the wrong fight, because it's the fight of faith. So what I felt as a parent, it just brought deja vu. It was a deja vu for me, because as a child in communist schools on Monday, the teachers will come and ask, what did you do? What did you do on Sunday? It was the only day off, Sunday. And lots of them will say, we've been to a picnic, or we've been to the grandparents, because it wasn't much to do in a communist country. Life was pretty boring, I would say, compared with what you have it here today. We worked and went to school from Monday to Saturday. And I was trembling and be so nervous together with another 3 or 4 other children that will go to church, because I had to say, I've been to church in the morning and in the evening. And then they will launch at us, the teachers, and say, how can you still believe in a God? How can you still believe in a fairy tale? And this has happened in the dictatorship, and when I've seen that this happens with my own son, I was heartbreaking. So I had a discussion with a teacher on the phone. It was COVID at that time, wasn't allowed to have face-to-face conversation. And the teacher said, oh, that's a new way to do things. Children need to learn to be tough. And Eddie has to accept this one. Well, and tough they made Eddie to be from that point of view. And then I requested a discussion with the head teacher, and the head teacher, to her credit, right away, she accepted for Eddie to withdraw from yoga classes that were practicing yoga exercises, and then from LGBT classes and religious classes. So it wasn't a very hard thing. I remember that we were speaking with Christian Institute just to ask for advice and if needed to go further, but it wasn't the case. So I stopped there. But my disappointment was that of all the evangelical churches, lots of children in the school, no one was to stay beside my son and to be indeed as a Christian family. And I encourage parents, look and check on what's happening with your children at school. Remember, one day you'll have to answer before God. How are you going to face him and defend the image of God in man, in our children, that God wants to be intact as he gave it to us, so that they will come to know the Lord Jesus Christ as well.
just want to say thank you to Eddie and Daniel. Thank you for being here. You now have a new family. We are with you, and we shall stand with you no matter what and support you all the way. And that's what we're here for, the Scottish Family Party. And thanks for being so bold and courageous. Just one question before we move on. I just wanted to ask you, the school, did they actually teach you about marriage between a man and a woman?
I do not ever remember that happening. I do not ever remember that.
So here we go, guys. That's what's happening in schools. Thank you, guys. Thank you so
very
much.
Here.